bunker vibes, late nights on the grind, vet tails spin, watch the timeline rewind. War stories chronicled, PTSD unwind, mic in my hand, artillery in my mind. HomeFront Sitrep, broadcast to the nation. Veterans voice, raw articulation, grit and grind, scars of dedication. Tales from the trenches, pure revelation. Nerves from the battlefield, in the face, podcast waves, combat scars retrace. Blood and gun smoke in that cold vast space. Silent night choppers, heartbeats race. Sit down, get close. The wisdom from the scars. Decoded messages, encrypted memoirs. Street wisdom stitched in stripes and bars. Brotherhood bonds transcend all wars. Combat boots still stomp, unmatched grind. Tactical rhyme scheme sharp as landmines. Salute the lost, every verse a shrine. Warrior chronicles, chronicles of our kind. HomeFront Sitrep, broadcast to the nation. Veterans voice, raw articulation. Grit and grind, scars of dedication. Tales from the trenches, pure revelation.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Mic in hand, ready for deployment. Podcast feels heavy as the ointment. Veteran tales straight from the trenches. Pop culture splices, pulling down the fences. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. HomeFront Sitrep, voices from the fight. Veterans sharing dark, stepping into light. Real life saga, not some fairy tale. Truth and resilience, never gonna fail. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. Legacy 11X, story of Marines. Army anecdotes, Gulf War scenes. Vietnam echoes, desert storm sounds. Podcast chronicles, glory and bounds. HomeFront Sitrep, honesty is core. Veterans laying bare what they endure. From the front lines to the homebound grief. Episodes of grit, grind through the grief.
Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
You see it, man. It was a long day today. Wife had a doctor's appointment, but everything is good. And then trying to finish up the details and logistics and everything for this ice fishing trip next week, heading up to the thumb is what they call it, of Wisconsin, up to Sturgeon Bay to do some ice fishing with these guys. And yeah, and then just enjoying the off season. How can I not, right? I'm not gone every single weekend doing something with the team. I get to spend time with family, a lot of hockey games, and I get to hang out with you on Sunday and Monday.
I know you've been going to a lot of hockey games.
I mean, look, Columbus Blue Jackets, you know.
Right.
So, I mean, I grew up playing hockey. Most of it was pond hockey, but, you know, going down to the University of Maine and playing on Sundays on open skate nights, and, you know, getting to play with Paul Cray and Gar Snow and some of the guys that won a national championship for the University of Maine. And, just getting back to my roots a little bit, but and having the boys enjoy it too. So, you know, they all.
Yeah, I'll have to come up and catch a hockey game with you.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
Does Cincinnati play Louisville at all down here in Louisville?
No, I think Louisville belongs to a different conference.
Okay. Well, you know, there's the Louisville Ice Warriors, which is an all veteran team down here. A Marine, John Atchison.
They do sled, right? Sled hockey.
No, it's straight up hockey. Yeah. It's a for veterans only. It's a veterans league.
Yeah.
And it's pretty neat.
I can't put skates back on, so
Yeah.
I'll just go watch and yell and Fight
Well, we'll
fight
have to
for
go.
me.
Well, I'll have to get a schedule, and I'll have to let you know when they're doing their thing. We'll have to go watch them here in Louisville.
Yeah.
Maybe do a live episode from there or something. Who knows? We'll figure it out. But I had PT again today. Oh my God, let me tell you. My therapist, my physical therapist, Drew, is a Navy guy, and he's sitting there. He's torquing my leg, and he's like, what MOS was you?" And I'm like, "I'm infantry." He goes, "You sure you wasn't a cook?" I was like, "Man." So but he was putting me through some torture, and we figured out that tendon in the front, I think he called it the
The
patella tendon,
patella tendon, yeah.
is not it's shortened, so it's not letting it release properly, and
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the pain's coming from. So he gave me some exercises to work on doing that, and I'm actually sitting at my desk right now at about a 90 degrees, which is just sitting normal. That's the first time it's been able to sit normal at 90 degrees. So, but other than that, man, I'm doing good. The wife and kids are doing good. Grace goes to Independence, to your neck of the woods, on Wednesday for her driving test, her road test.
Make sure I'm off the roads that day.
Yeah. I'll say, hey, we're here. I think her appointment's at like 10:30 in the morning. So,
Oh yeah, I've got a 9 o'clock car appointment out in Florence, so
there,
we'll
there you go.
meet for lunch after.
Yeah. Well, I got a 2 o'clock PT appointment. We'll figure it out. We'll see. Yeah, she wants McDonald's if she passes her test.
It's right
So
there, man. Right by the DMV. So
there we go. There we go. So we'll make it happen, man. But other than that, man, everything's going good. We had a great podcast last night with the Black Dog community. Sam from the Black Dog community has an amazing story. I don't want to say amazing story, but he's got a story that is inspiring. Let's put it that way. Inspiring sounds better. If you missed that, so make sure you go back and watch that episode from last night. He has a heart of gold. He wants to help everybody that he can help, and he's trying to figure out some inventive ways to help. So this year he's doing the pie challenge, where he's challenging 22 veterans to get pied in the face, and then if he doesn't get the 22 pies in the face, he's going to get pied in the face every hour for 22 hours. So I think it's super cool, super fun. So I did my challenge because I was one of the first ones that he challenged. And I did mine, shared it on the show last night, and Gunny said it was a weak pie in the face. I told my daughter that you said it was a weak pie in the face. She goes, "Well, but Dad, you put so many restrictions on it." And I was like, "No, I just told you not to get it everywhere." And she goes, "Well, that's what I did." And I was like, "Okay." But I challenged Gunny Deeds and I challenged Ty Cobb to get pied in the face for the month of February. So be waiting for their videos because I'm gonna share both of them on the podcast. So be ready for those coming up in February whenever they get them done. I know Gunny, he's an overachiever. He'll probably have it done the first week of February.
probably the first day, right? Saturday, like this
Probably.
Saturday.
I think, but it's something fun. It's something different. It's not the 22-mile ruck mark. It's not the 22 push-ups a day. It's not.
Yeah, it's not something that's strenuous. It's not something that's painstaking. It's something
Right.
that's more uplifting and a comic relief, if you will, a little bit. Especially if you see your favorite podcaster out there getting a pie to the face, no matter how weak or it may have been.
Yeah.
But it's something different, right? And it's something different to bring to the community. Yeah, Troy just says some people might line up to see that. I'm sure they will, especially
Troy,
some of my younger Marines. Absolutely. Yeah. So I served. Troy and I served together in 3-8, and now he's on the board for Warriors Honor Cruise.
Heck yeah. No, I'm ready to see Gunny get pied in the face. I mean, heck yeah, I'd love to be the one doing the pie in the face, but hey, he's 2 hours away.
I don't want to have injuries afterwards.
I wouldn't be that bad, bro. I wouldn't be that bad. But so over the course of 2 years, because this is episode 150, I want to go ahead and throw that out there. This is episode 150. We're almost to 2 years, because next month in February will be our 2-year mark. I think it's February 23rd, somewhere right around there, was when our first episode was released. So this is episode 150. I'm super excited for it, because if you've watched a bunch of our episodes, you know that equine therapy is something that I hold near and dear, because I've seen it work with my own eyes. Like, I've been physically there to see a transformation of a veteran that was home ridden, couldn't leave his house, found equine therapy, and now he's out volunteering in the community. He's out doing all kinds of things because horses saved his life. His wife and kids said, "Hey, we have our my husband back. We have our dad back." So equine therapy is something that I know to work. And we actually found another great organization from Wisconsin. This is another TikTok find. That's where I found them on TikTok. And I'm super excited to have them come up on the screen here in just a few minutes. I'm gonna put their website. So it's Operation Horses Heal. The website scrolling across the bottom of the screen, www.horsesheal.org. My Kentucky was coming out, Gunny.
Yes. No.
Yeah, my Kentucky was coming out. So, you can go to their website and you can see, it's got home, about, services, coming soon, resources, qualifications, contact. They got a merch shop on there as well for Operation Horses Heal gear. How can I help? Sponsor a horse or donkey. They got the board members on there. Then they got the 2024 annual report, which a lot of people won't put that on the website. They don't put their annual report. They don't put their 990s on the website. So that right there tells me they're already transparent. As soon as you go to the home screen, the transparency is there, which is amazing, because like I said, there's a lot of organizations out there that won't even put it on their website. So, and then it's also got their sponsors, and then Seen Through Horses campaign 2024, which we'll get into that here in a minute when we bring up Mr. Rooster and Miss Rachel and Miss Joanne from Operation Horses Heal. I think we're ready for them. What do you think, Gunny?
Absolutely. Let's get it going.
Let's do it. Let's bring up Miss Rachel, Mr. Rooster. There we go.
Hello. Hi.
How are you guys?
We're good.
Good.
Well, yeah, thank you.
You're like, oh, which one goes first? All right.
It's like a board meeting.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Exactly.
So welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I need a favor from all of you guys. We'll start out with Rachel and Rooster. If you can introduce yourself and give us a little background story of you guys.
You go.
Okay.
You start.
He says I have to start, so I'll start. My name is Rachel. This is Rooster. He can introduce himself and share his story. I became an accidental director to a nonprofit when we started volunteering for another equine assisted services program. And we said, there's not really anything similar to what we found there in our area. And so he said to me, how can we make this happen? And so it was basically a dream sort of mulling around in the back of our heads for, I don't know how many years, 5 years, a long time. And, you can let something mull around in your head, or you can make something happen. And we decided to just make something happen. So little by little, bit by bit, we are getting things in order. And I'll let Rooster take away.
All right. Like she said, it started out just kind of by being that volunteer for that program. She called me one day and said, we got this veterans program down here in Southwest Wisconsin. They're looking for hay help. And I'm an over-the-road driver. I said, well, we can't put a whole trailer together, but I will deliver it if we can get the donations. Made the trip, made some visits, and we started seeing people from the UP, northern Minnesota, which we thought 3.5 hours was bad to go and get your couple hours of relief. And I said, hey, can we maybe do this up by us? And she started looking into the training through the EFL and the HERD program. And the main spark plugs for me were my dad originally. He had a brother that went to Korea as a medic for a few years, came back, tough farmer. He came home at 12 years old and found his brother there. And watched the demons of that my whole life growing up. I was a guard member here in Wisconsin, so I know some people that struggled then already. My brother's been on a lifetime retired guard member, so I knew a lot of guards before I ever got in, and after I even got out, kind of threw my life away for a while. And huge regret when our company deployed 8 months after I had gotten out, and I had no clue they were going active. So I have that. And then my little brother went over, and he's not with us anymore. So them were the spark plugs. I've been around horses my whole life, more on the rodeo side. I learned more of the horsemanship after my wife and I got together and started seeing some miracles. So here we are doing it for everybody else, hopefully for a long time.
Awesome. Thank you. So you were National Guard in Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
And you got out and your unit deployed. And I'm assuming by your statement there was a little bit of survivor's guilt there because you didn't go with them. Is that what I was getting from that?
Yeah, I had thrown my life away, busted myself up to where I couldn't even get back in, and begged to get back in and couldn't even do it at that point.
Yeah, I we've talked to several people that was kind of in the same situation with you. They got out of the military, then their unit deployed, a couple months later, and some of their friends, some of their buddies didn't come back, so they had survivor's guilt. So I definitely know I can't say I know 100% what you're going through, but I have an idea because some of my buddies that went overseas after I got out didn't come home either. So I do kind of know what you're going through. So we'll hit on that here in just a few minutes. Let's get Miss Joanne up here and give her a chance to introduce herself.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Joanne Coddington, and I am actually an Army veteran myself, and then married to an Army retiree. So I was with him for the better part of 18 years of his career. Used my GI Bill, went to school, became a therapist. I worked on Fort Bragg as a military and family life counselor for a couple of years before coming up to Wisconsin. I was working as a wilderness therapist, and that's how I met Rachel. We took the kids that were in our program to equine therapy, and I noticed that they had an engineer flag. And I'm like, are you or were your husband in the military? And she's like, yeah. And then we had this nonprofit and kind of got into there. And I knew I was going to be a part of it. I just didn't know how. And then Rachel sent out like this little like phishing email looking for board members, and I bit. And from there, it's been about a year. No, it's more than a year now that I've been with Operation Horses Heal.
Awesome.
That's
So what was
the way it usually works? That little hook out there, little worm or carrot or whatever, and then you're like, oh, it seems tempting. You get it, and then you're hooked, and you're all in. So I mean, yeah.
You know what she was doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So what was your MOS while you were in
I
the
was
Army?
at 15 Quebec, so as an air traffic controller.
Nice. All right. Cool beans. And you didn't try to do that at the airport after you got out?
I became a mother, and shift work did not allow me to be the kind of mother that I wanted to be.
Awesome. I got you.
As a military spouse as well, because my husband did do 1 tour to Iraq and 4 to Afghanistan.
Oof. So let me ask this question before we get into Operation Horses Heal. So you've seen military from your side from being in. Then you got married, and now you're a military spouse.
Yes.
How was the deployments different for you during that time frame?
Well, I never deployed as a service member. That's a whole long story, but I feel like it's different because I had like an inside view of what deployments are about, and I also understand the commitment that soldiers service members make before they go. So I never held that against my husband or anything like that. And this is going to sound weird. I truly never worried about him. I had confidence in his training. And then if something was going to happen, I just left that up to God.
I love it. I love it. I got you. All right, cool. So let's talk about Operation Horses Heal. So the website's scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. So how many horses do you guys have currently on site?
Yeah, so we have 6 horses and 3 donkeys.
3 minis.
And yeah, of the 6 horses, 3 are miniatures. So we have 3 standard size, and then 3 minis and 3 donkeys.
Heck yeah.
Now, Willis needs a mini to ride because he can't get on a standard.
Listen here, young man. Oh heck, I wish I was young still. But so my horses, I had a quarter horse and a Tennessee Walker when I was growing up. Both the quarter horse was about 16 hands, and the Tennessee Walker was right at about 17 and a half.
Oh, wow.
So decent sized horses. I loved them to death. And then as I got older and life took over, I wound up selling them because I didn't really have time to travel from Barstown to Louisville to where the horses were stabled at, and because football got in the way, and so I just wound up selling them. And biggest regret of my life was selling them, but one of these days when I move to Montana, I will have horses again, whenever that might be. So let's talk about the horses. So you got 3 mini horses, 3 regular size horses, and some donkeys.
Absolutely.
How do you find the veterans to come to your events, and how many veterans do you host during your sessions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So referrals come from all over the place. We get referrals from veteran service officers. We go in and do talks at a variety of veteran organizations. So we've gone into the VFW and the American Legion. We've gone to Ladies Auxiliary. Where else do we go? There's a thing in our area. It's called the Veterans Weekly Cup of Coffee. We've gone into that to go talk with veterans. Basically, any organization that serves veterans that will let me come in and spill the beans about what we have to offer, I will go and speak. Awesome. And so a lot of times our referrals come that way. We've actually gotten referrals from TikTok. We've gotten referrals. Sometimes it's a family member who will refer. So they really come from all over the place. We're not, we don't have constraints that say that we have to serve veterans only in the state of Wisconsin. So any veteran, any active military service member or their immediate families can reach out to us to come and visit the farm. They don't have to wait for scheduled events. They can literally just call me up and say, hey, I want to make an appointment. When can you squeeze me in? And we've had veterans do that as well. As far as numbers go, it's kind of like, what you and I talked about sort of at the beginning, that of course funders want to see numbers, right? Some groups we have 1 person show up. Sometimes I have 6 people show up. We host some events that are really centered around connection and reducing isolation. And those can sometimes have like 30 to 40 people show up. So it just kind of depends on the event. We kind of have the philosophy that 1 veteran or 40 veterans, we're making a difference regardless.
Yeah, sometimes, the small group works really well when it comes to equine therapy because they get more one-on-one time with the horse.
Mhm.
Where if you have a large group, they don't get as much one-on-one time. That's something that we noticed when we were doing our equine therapy, that we would have to, if we had a large group, we try to break it down into smaller groups, because I think we had 10 horses at the time. And then if we needed more, we had another guy down the street that had some more horses that were very, could be used. And what we would do is, we would have one group go into the barn, sit around, the fire pit or whatever to keep warm inside the barn if it was cold. If not, we would just sit in a circle, and that would be the camaraderie section. Everybody get to meet each other, get to talk to each other. And then we had people in the stalls, mucking stalls, grooming the horses, brushing them down and stuff like that. And then we had a group that was outside doing the round pen, going through this obstacle course that we had created for the horses. So we had one thing that had 2 poles, and it had something across the top, and then it had some like heavy plastic that was cut into slits. And then you walk through that, and then over a bridge, and then get them to stand on tires. So sometimes the large group is good, but the smaller group is where a lot of the healing takes place.
Well, and as the facilitator too, you get to know the veterans or the family member, right? The larger the group, it's harder to make those connections and have true, real conversations.
And horses are a lot like humans. And what I'm going to say by this is because each horse has its own personality.
Absolutely.
So do you guys talk to the veterans first and get to know their personality, and then you're like, okay, I know what horse I'm going to put this veteran with?
The rooster says no. Absolutely not.
We do not. So the way that we run our services, I want to think is unique, but I think that there are probably more organizations than I realize that are taking this approach. So the way that we have our participants work with our horses is and donkeys is they're really on this level playing field. We don't match anybody with anybody. We let the veterans show up as they are. They have an opportunity to do some herd observation where they're just noticing what's happening with the horses and donkeys and noticing what comes up for them. And then we take them into the herd. So we take them into the entire herd so that they can interact with whichever horse or donkey seems to be who they are feeling drawn to or who they want to connect with. Sometimes I'll pose the question, which horse or donkey is like you today? So sometimes they'll pick like whoever is like them on that day. And Joanne has seen this time and time again, because when we had the wilderness therapy groups come out for our for-profit, it was an activity that I did with those kids as well. And it's crazy the things that show up. It's wild when people have the opportunity to sort of have this chance to interact with the horse on sort of this level playing field where somebody isn't in a perceived position of power. It creates a different dynamic and a different sort of learning or a different sort of healing or a different sort of magic happens in that moment. It's hard for me to put words on it because like sometimes it's just undescribable, the things that I will see that happen in the middle of a session. But yeah, we don't match anybody with anybody. Now, I do want to clarify though, when I have like repeat people out and I get to know them, I'm also paying attention to the welfare and the preferences and compassion for the horses and donkeys. So choice and consent are a big part of our program, which means the horses and donkeys have choices about who they're going to interact with and how they're going to interact and if they're going to come into the session or not come into the session. And if I'm consistently seeing a horse or donkey that seems to not be interested in interacting with a specific person. So for instance, there's a participant that shows up on a regular basis, and one of our little horses always pins her ears at this particular participant. Like, she has no interest in interacting with this person. I am going to pay attention to those kind of things so that I can look out for the welfare of the horse and the safety of the participant, right?
Yeah.
But like, as far as like matching them up together, that I don't do. It's a pretty interesting process, and what comes out can be pretty phenomenal.
Well, like I was saying, horses are very intuitive anyway. So if you bring a group of people into the herd, the horses, I don't know much about donkeys, so you'll have to correct me on that. But when it comes to horses, they will single out people because they can feel the vibe of that person. Just like you said, when the horse pins their ears to the back, that means that horse has got a bad vibe about that human, and they're going to stay away from that person as much as possible. So you pretty much let the horses dictate who they're going to, because when you go into a pen of horses, and I say it's just me, right? I walk into a pen and there's 10 horses in there. More than likely, one or two of those horses are going to be like, all right, this guy seems cool. Let me walk up to him. So that's going to do that interaction for you. And that kind of helps solidify, all right, I want to work with this horse. I love that approach where you take them in there to meet the horses and then let the horses decide. So looking through, I'm on your website right now, which is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and I'm in our services, like the tab our services. So you got equine assisted learning.
Yep.
Then you have veterans horsemanship group.
Yep.
Then you got campfire with the herd. Then you got veterans retreat.
Yep.
Then you got barn buddies. Then you got a farm visit. Then you got summer barbecue. That's pretty much your events that or your programs that you guys have. So we've already kind of touched on the equine side of things there. Let's do a small snippet on each one of these resources that you guys have here.
Absolutely. Okay. So, and there are two that are not up on there, because actually there's three, because we're trying some things out this year. So we're also trying out art with horses. That was a request. We're doing a women's a military veteran women in the military and Veterans Day. I'm stumbling over the title. I don't remember what I called it, but it's for women specifically. And then we are also doing a camp out with the horses, because we've gotten a ton of requests to be able to camp out alongside the paddock. So we're going to bring that in. Okay. So equine assisted learning, it's really whatever the veteran makes of it. That's typically like a 1 to 2 hour session where the veteran might be wanting to work on some specific goals. Now, because I'm not a therapist, I'm not diving into therapy type things, right? I'm not diving deep into someone's trauma. I'm not making any sort of diagnoses. I'm not saying we're treating something. But what I can do is support the veteran in, maybe they want to practice some new communication skills or stress management skills. Those are things that I can support. Those are things that I'm able to do. And so sometimes veterans will sign up for just like one. I have a couple of veterans who come out like a couple times a month. Sometimes it's a one and done thing. Sometimes people want to come out with their spouse or their children. So it's really driven by what the goals are of the veteran for that particular program. Veterans Horsemanship Group is really geared for veterans who are kind of like yourself, who are a little bit interested in horses or had horses at one point in time, and maybe they just want to get back into doing things with horses. Right now, all of our programming is non-ridden. It's all ground-based. It's all unmounted. So right now, the horsemanship group isn't graduating to riding, but we have expansion plans that are going to allow for that graduation. But that horsemanship group meets a couple of times during the summer, and what we do in that group is entirely based on whatever horsemanship skills the people come with. So sometimes people come with, like, I've never even been in a space with a horse or a donkey. And so then we're really teaching, some of those basic things, right? Haltering, leading, equine behavior, understanding, like what they're communicating to us. And so, like, what we graduate to in that group totally depends on the group. I've had some groups where they have come for the entire series, and like the furthest we get in the group is haltering, leading, and getting out on a trail and taking walks out on the trails. Like, that's as far as we get. I've had some groups where we don't ever even make it to haltering and leading because the equine behavior bit is more interesting to them, or grooming, or there's other things that are just more of interest. But everything we do is very participant driven. What am I missing? What's next? Oh, Barn Buddies. Barn Buddies is for the children of veteran or active military. That's brand new this year. So we got some grant funding to be able to run some groups for kids. And there'll be some horse time, some sort of a craft or art project, and then a snack and some other like horse related type of farm activities. I feel like I'm missing something in the list. Help me out here.
We got summer barbecue, farm visit, campfire with the herd, and veteran retreats.
Okay, so summer barbecue and campfire with the herd. And I would also put like the camp out with the herd too in this category. Those are really events that are geared around connection, the reduction of isolation. So we're in a really rural community, and isolation is a big factor up here. So we want to connect with people and reach people where they're at, and where they're at might not be, I want to get out with a horse. Like, maybe where they're at is, I want to sit around a campfire and have some s'mores and some hot cocoa and like share a story. And everything we do, whether it's the barbecue or the campfire, there's always time to get out with the horses and donkeys, but there's choice about it. So if that's not what they want, they don't have to do that. His philosophy is whatever makes your ticker tick.
Ticker tick happy.
Yeah. So so sometimes we have folks that come out, maybe they have registered for veterans horsemanship, but really they're more interested in walking the fence line and helping repair fence, or maybe they're just more interested in hanging out and sitting in a chair by a campfire and hanging with the cats. We're going to allow for that flexibility. We're going to meet people where they're at, regardless of what's on the roster that day. The summer barbecue, that is an event, boy, if you all want to come to something, that is an event where we prep a meal for the veteran community. We serve their families. We always get a bounce house. We always have somebody doing leather work. Joanne's daughter does an excellent job face painting. We try and have some goodies and things available for raffle or giveaway. And it's just a fun day all around. This year, we're trying to get some different organizations to come and be present. So we try and find veteran-focused groups who sort of have a similar philosophy that we're better together. Collaboration is kind of the way to go when we're serving the veteran community. We don't have to operate in silos. And so we try and get a good group going there.
It's our big thank you to everybody, basically, and get more information out, a little more camaraderie, like for the ones that are willing to be in big groups. You see what we are, but you're not isolated to the thought of, hey, I'm going for horses. And then it opens a lot of eyes, like the trail walking and that type of stuff,
Yeah. What time of year do you guys usually do that?
It's May this year, March, April, May.
This year it's in May. Yeah. We've done it in July in the past, or in June in the past, and there is a bluegrass festival in our area, which people don't usually think of for Wisconsin, but there is.
And June is dairy month, so that's 85 truck pulls and dances everywhere, and we're just trying to beat the crowds this year. So we're going a little early to see if we can get it where we're not overlapping so many programs.
Definitely. Now, you said something earlier where you get to go to all these veteran events or different service, veteran service organizations and talk to veterans and stuff like that. And have you had pushback where other veteran service organizations says, "Oh, you can't come to our event. You can't talk about your organization"? Have you seen that within the people that you chit-chatted with?
I mean, I don't know if you have felt it's been differently, or Joanne, you felt it's been differently, but I don't feel like we've gotten pushback that way. I think like organizations have been really open to us coming in. We've even done with some veteran service organizations like collaborative like advertising to participants. So for instance, there's an organization in the area that is putting together hunting and fishing trips for the veteran community. And so, he'll send me a message and say, "Hey, I'm putting together this trip. I'm looking for 10 Purple Heart recipients. Do you know anybody?" And we've worked collaboratively together like that. I've had really good luck that way.
Yeah, that is good, because unfortunately there are some organizations out there that will be like, "Well, we don't want to work with you because we do our own thing." And that's the reason I was asking if you've seen that up in your area, because I know here in Kentucky there are some organizations that way. And for me personally, if I'm running a nonprofit, I want to work with all organizations that are out there helping veterans, because if I'm out here doing woodworking and Gunny comes to me and says, "Hey man, I love what you're doing, but this is not working for me." And then I have to be able to say, "All right, Gunny, what do you like doing?" And Gunny's going to be like, "Man, I like going fast. I want to go race car driving." I'm going to be like, "All right, Gunny, I can hook you up with Ed McLean from Warriors to Racing. They do American endurance racing, and they have an all-veteran team. So let me get you connected with them." That's what we should be doing as a veteran service organization. Is connecting, making that connection and working with other, because 22 a day is only getting stronger or higher. And we all know that one is too many. So if you can't work with other organizations, then what are you doing it for? For me, if you're not willing to work with other organizations, you're looking to booster yourself.
You're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah, you're doing it for the wrong reason, because you're boosting your individual and not the veteran that you're supposed to be taking care of.
And here too, there are a lot of organizations that are focusing on the hunting, fishing, like the outdoor type stuff, right? So now they're competing with each other, right? Because or you have the professional veteran that just goes from event to event to event to event to event to event to event, that refuses to pass the word to other veterans so they can experience what they experienced, because they think this little organization here, I say little, this organization that they have their hands in, they're going to lose it if they tell somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
And, and I think, because I was the vice president of an organization, I've sat on the board or a staff member of other nonprofits. And that's what we saw when we were dealing with, or trying to work with other nonprofits is, oh, they're going to take our piece of the pie. Well, you're based out of northern Ohio, northwestern Ohio. We're in southwestern Ohio. It's a 200, 300 mile difference.
Yep.
How are we competing with each other? You're not, right?
Right.
And yes, some of those funds, you may compete for like if your VFW has the poker machines and, they have to give out certain funds, to a nonprofit. I get it, but, you have to share the wealth. And what, like Willis said, what works for Willis doesn't work for me. My reset is fishing. Get me on the ice, on the water. If I got a line in the water, that's all I care about, whether I catch anything or not, and that helps me relax my mind, take my mind off whatever is going on here at home, the job, the kids, the wife, the car payment, all that crap. When I'm on the water, whether it's frozen or not, all those worries go away. And my sole focus is catching a fish. Now, sometimes I get to catch the bigger fish and I get to brag. And then sometimes the fish I catch is smaller than the bait that I'm using. And then I get to be the stepping stone for everybody else. But either way, all those worries are gone. And I wish other nonprofits would just see that it's not about you, it's about the veteran that you're trying to help, or that family member that you're trying to help, because the family members suffer sometimes more than what the veteran does, because the veteran projects their stress and their anxiety onto their wife and their kids, and they need something and there's not a lot for the spouses or the kids.
Yep. Yeah. I know every event I go to, when we go out, especially the bigger ones where you have multiple tables, talk to everybody. If they ask you about your program at your table, you tell them. But you make sure you grab that brochure. I've got a stack of stuff here in the display every time. It doesn't matter what direction it's going, then hey, this guy's interested in this. Might not be horses. Maybe his wife's not into that, just whichever way we can send him another direction to help. And we did have one at that one. And the lady came up, sent her brother-in-law up to our booth the next day after I'd been up there. So they've been super nice. Another horse program, kind of like you said, 300 miles away or whatever it is. Came up to our booth and was like, oh, I kind of wonder where you are and what all this, because I don't want to be, you're not, making sure you're not our competition was the exact words. I'm like, I had to hold back from being very unprofessional at that comment.
Yeah.
Competition. I'm like, I guess we're done talking forever now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rough when those conversations start that way. It's like, you're not going to compete with me. And I've said it numerous times. You ain't competing with me.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all. You do your thing. You host and do your events. I'll host and do my events. And we'll continue to help the veteran community. And that's what it is to me. It's not about the personal agenda or the ego or the attitudes. And I unfortunately, you get to see it a lot, especially here in the greater Cincinnati area. There are so many different veteran nonprofits, or even here in Kentucky, there's so many veteran nonprofits that feel as though they're competing with one another.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes that they all we're competing, but there's a plethora of veterans out there, and there's a plethora of veteran service organizations out there. And I can tell you right now, if I go to a veteran service organization and I get talking with the founder, or I get talking with a board member, and I get that gut feeling about that person, I'm never going to go back to that organization because if I don't get that warm fuzzy feeling from you, I'm out the door. I'm going somewhere else where I can find that warm fuzzy feeling, because you can tell sometimes you can tell by the person's personality how they're going to treat the veterans that come to their events and stuff. And it's definitely crazy. So my buddy Ty Cobb here, who's an Army veteran, retired, he says, I put my entire family through some unique stressors over the years, but we are stronger for it together. So Um, you know, I'm looking on your website. If somebody wanted to help donate, sponsor a horse, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so they can go. There's two spots they can go on the website if they want to donate. There's the spot that sort of has like join our board, volunteer, or make a donation. I think it says how can I help on the little tab. So they can go in there to make a donation. They can also go in our coming soon section. And there is a spot in there where we are in the process of trying to fund a land purchase so that we can expand our services. And so we've got a campaign going for that. Part of that expansion is including essentially a program that will give veterans the opportunity to work on a ranch, and we will also have some temporary housing available in that program. So it's a big project. And our aim as we expand is to have 90% of our staff be veteran. So right now that's our rule for our board of directors. It's 90% veteran run. So the only two people who have not served on the board are myself and our current president has not served. Everyone else has either had active service or is currently serving.
That's awesome. And then tell us a little bit about the gear, because I'm looking here. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah, so we right now have a partnership with Bonfire to do some print on demand things. It changes. We change it up every few months. So I think right now there's sweatshirts and maybe some t-shirts or long sleeve shirts in there. Sometimes we put hats in there. We work with Bonfire so that we do not have to carry a whole bunch of, we don't have to hold on to a whole bunch of stock. But everything that's purchased through there, a percentage does come back to Operation Horses Heal. So that's really, that helps fund the programs that we have to offer. Nothing costs a veteran or their family anything. So everything we do is funded through donations or grants or fundraisers. If you have any folks out there who make a mean chili, we have a chili cook-off in the fall, and we're always looking for chili cook-off entries.
I was waiting for you to bring that up. That's my favorite event.
Joanne, do you want to tell them about chili cook-off since it's your favorite?
Well, I've only been to one, but it's exactly what it is. It's a chili cook-off. Like the whole community comes. You don't have to be a veteran to participate. There's hot, medium, and mild categories. And it's just a really fun time, once again, of connection and gathering. I don't know. That was my favorite one. I had so much fun there last time, and I really like to eat. So that might have helped.
That is our one big fundraiser for the year, where we actually ask a little more of our whole community. Everybody's always begging their community. So we have raffle baskets from the community, and just the entry money and the buy your dish thing is our big from the community ask for the money. Always we try to do more of the grant writing and that type of stuff.
Right. So y'all made a comment that it don't cost a veteran or the veteran's family anything. Mm-hmm. Let's say you got a veteran from Texas. Let's say my buddy Ty Cobb down here. Let's say he finds your organization. He says, "Hey, I want to come up for a visit, but I live in Texas. I don't have the means to travel there. What do y'all do for that veteran?"
I will try and seek funding to bring them up. So I will write grants. I will get donations. I am not afraid to ask for money. So awesome. I will do what I can to try and reduce the cost or to see what we can do to get that veteran up here. we have a veteran right now who is on our board of directors. Her and her mom are potentially coming from Texas to see us. So even our board of directors don't have to be local. We meet via Zoom. So
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is awesome. So you got a partnership here with Bonfire. I don't know. Are they a veteran owned company, or do you know?
No, they are not. We would
And-
love to find a veteran owned print
Apparel company.
Ty Cobb, you still there? If you're still there, let me know. So what's the percentage that they give you? And do they do it quarterly? Do they do it monthly? Do they do it yearly?
They do it whenever I request it. So I wait till there's like a certain amount in there, and then I say, yep, cut me a check, and then they send me a check.
Awesome. So I do know of a veteran-owned company in Texas. If you got a pen, Miss Joanne, you might want to write this down. It's called sameflagsameoath.com. I was hoping Ty was in here because then he could put the link in the website.
Can you say that again? My dog is barking and I missed it. So I do got a pen and paper.
It's sameflagsameoath.com. Sameflagsameoath.com. Veteran-owned company out of Texas. Matt and Becky Johnson run it. Their website is phenomenal. We have a HomeFront Sitrep has a shirt on their website. They give 25% back of each sale.
That's definitely better than what Bonfire is doing.
So I was hoping Ty was still in here. But what we will do is I will connect you with Matt via email and Becky, and because Matt's super busy, so I'll get you connected with Matt and Becky. That way you can look, and they do everything on site, ship it to wherever it's got to go. And they do co-branded shirts. So it'll also have their logo on it as well. I wish I had my Marine It Down shirt down here, but I don't. So it'll have their logo on it as well, but it also have your logo and then whatever you want on the front and back. And it's amazing quality. They do hats and everything. So I'll definitely get you connected, and it's probably better than the Bonfire.
Yes. Yes. So. I love that because part of so for instance, when we were doing, Coffee with the Herd isn't on our website anymore, but it was a similar event to Campfire with the Herd. And when we ran that event, it was very important for us to try and find as many veteran-owned vendors as possible. We always try and shop veteran-owned if we're aware of it. So I love this. This is exciting.
Yeah, I like supporting veterans too, and I'm kind of like you guys. I look for the veteran shops all over the place. I look for that veteran-owned sticker. That's what I look for. And if I can support a veteran, I'm going to support them before I go to the big name stores. So, so yeah, I love what you guys are doing. I hope one of these days me and Gunny, once we get our big tour bus, we can go travel the country together. He's got to retire. He's got to retire first, and then I got to retire too. So we're going to be eventually one of these days we're going to be touring the country in our tour bus, and we'll get to come visit you, if not sooner than that.
You mean retire again, right?
Yeah, retire again. Yeah.
No room.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. So, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you guys want to touch on before we put you in the back? Because we got to get ready to close it down for the night. This hour has gone by super quick, by the way.
I've got something. So so I have very limited exposure to horses, never been on a horse that I can remember. I might have sat on one maybe when I was a child, maybe. What advice would you give to anybody, veteran or not, anybody who has limited to no exposure to horses that wants to interact with the horses or the donkeys or the mini horse? And are mini horses as evil as everybody says they are?
Well, okay. I feel like I'm very biased in that because I have a very special place in my heart for miniatures. So I'm probably not the right person to ask.
The only horse of yours that ever bit me was a little mini, and you know which one it was.
Yes.
That's the baby, though. That's the toddler in him.
That was the old girl.
She just wanted to show you who the alpha was.
She held some firm boundaries that day, and I learned to respect them.
Yep.
I know who you're talking about. So
as far as advice, like what I would say is go in without any expectations. I've been in the pasture with the horses lots of times, and I have a favorite, and I'll try and gravitate towards him. And then sometimes he doesn't want to be my friend that day or come hang out. But if you go in with no expectations, last time I was out there, I was kind of having a bad day, and I went into the paddock expecting to see my favorite. And then Cole came up, and it's one of the bigger horses. And she just like came up and gave me a hug and wouldn't let me go for, I swear, like 5 minutes. She would not let me go. And I've never had an experience with her before. So just go with no expectations.
Yep. I mean,
Nice.
come in with an open mind to the idea that something can happen. Don't expect it.
Right.
And just be your truest self, because they're gonna know what you're doing. Like we said, the horses are gonna pick and choose on that. And we never got back to it before by saying that, you know, with the donkeys, you can get a horse to be your friend. Like we're gonna walk off this edge together. They're gonna trust you eventually. A donkey, they're gonna make damn sure you mean that you're their friend. They're just better judges, and their self-preservation's a little higher. That's just about the only difference, really.
They also give great hugs.
We got two super snugglers.
So donkeys give great hugs?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
On the farm that give amazing hugs.
Yeah.
I know horses do. Horses will give you great hugs as well. That's I guess we're gonna have to plan a trip to Gunny.
Professor Higgins, you might feel like you're getting mugged if you let him.
Okay.
He's a very he's a great snuggler. He just seems to know. You know what? If you said you found us on TikTok, right? That's how if you scroll through the TikTok feed, there is a video of Professor Higgins, one of the donkeys, coming up and hugging me.
Nice.
And so find it, and then you can see what a donkey hug looks like.
Nice. So some of my favorite videos out there is the dogs that are touching the electric fence, and there's a donkey on the other side
laughing.
And the donkey just starts laughing. I'm like, bro, it's friggin' it's phenomenal. There you go, Gunny. I said it for you.
I do want to throw it out there. We're the equine program, but like I said, she said it, the part that says whatever makes your ticker tick happy, like the walking in the woods. We do try to set up local groups to go fishing and stuff, small scale, if that's your thing. You know, if you or your wife or kids are the horse person and you just are like, hey, I'm just coming to make them happy, we'll find something. We're going to go along the path of whoever we can in the whole group.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, it's a pleasure to have you guys on here. Thank you for coming and spending this hour with us and talking about Operation Horses Heal. The website scrolling down at the bottom, and then Ty Cobb did put it in the link in chat as well, so you can click on it there. I did post a Same Flag Same Oath link right there. I will get you guys connected to them via email. And that way you guys can see if they will work for you better than the bonfire. So you'll probably set up a call with Matt and Becky and get that taken care of. But thank you guys for coming on here and hanging out this hour with us. I'm gonna drop you guys in the background. If you want to stick around, you can stick around. If not, if you got things to do, go ahead and take care of that. But we're going to close down the show. Thank you again.
Thanks
for reaching out. Way up here.
Hey, you're welcome.
We appreciate it.
How cool was that, Gunny?
Very cool. I mean, my mom grew up with horses. I mean, even in town, I mean, still the house that, she grew up in, there's still a stable in the back of the garage where she had
Nice.
her horse. So, even though we're not allowed to have them in town anymore, but, I just, my aunt had horses. I just was never around them. And I've been invited to equine therapy number of times. And I'm not going to say I didn't have the time, but I didn't make the time.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of the horse. I don't know. There's something there. But
Yeah. Equine therapy is not for everybody. But I will tell you, at least try it one time. And the reason I say that is because horses are very intuitive. If you're having a bad day, the horse is going to know that you're having a bad day. That's when the hugs come into play. They will. Horses will nudge you and to get you to come out of your shell. And if the person who's running the session, whether they're a therapist or not, it's all about making that bond with that horse, which is a lifelong bond. Literally, you can have a horse for 5 years, right? You sell that horse, and then 2 years later, you go back and buy that same horse back. That horse is gonna know who you are. Just by the smell. So the horses are very intuitive. And once you make that bond and your heartbeat and that horse's heartbeat match and sync, it's there's nothing like it out there. I praise outdoor therapy because that's my reset. Like your fishing is your
yeah,
reset. Equine therapy for me is a close second. I mean, it's a very close second. So if you haven't tried it, I recommend finding somebody who is in your area. If not, find Operation Horses Heal and go and try it. Go spend 2 hours with the horses in the round pen, doing obstacle courses, brushing them. I mean, just being there with the horse. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal feeling.
I know watching the farrier when I went out to, um, we did a thing with the old guard out at Arlington, and he was in there, and they were trimming hooves and reshoeing and all that. I mean, that stuff right there is just so interesting to me
Yeah,
to know where to cut, when to cut, how much to take down. When they heat the shoe up, put the shoe on just to make sure it fits flush. And then some of the stuff they're doing now with like the gel and all that stuff and the molds, and I'm like, yeah, that's just way beyond what I comprehend for sure. But I mean,
yeah,
just watching those guys do that, and they're active duty, soldiers that are out there doing that, and not all of them get to select what they want to do. I mean, they'll go, and if the horses don't approve of them, they get kicked into a different program,
yeah,
and then you might have an infantry guy that says, hey, I want, I was raised around horses, let me give it a try, and they go in there and they accept it. Well, now he's the farrier for the old guard, and doing that stuff in Arlington, and they have a huge pasture down in Virginia that they have the horses at, and they rotate through.
yeah, yeah. No, equine therapy is amazing, and I'm glad I came across this organization here, because we've David Trochton down there with Operation or Project Hope, and that he's down in Florida. Elton East with Wayward Warrior Ranch in Virginia, in Bristol, Virginia. Then you got Mended Sparrow, and then you got Operation Horses Heal. Those are scattered throughout the country. So if you're watching this, no matter where you're at, there are equine therapy programs out there that could help you. And so check them out. Just go to the website, which we had scrolling across the bottom of the screen, which is back across the screen right now. Um, but it's about that time, Gunny. We got to wrap it up. So this is you, my friend.
Yeah, man, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Don't let the dark days win. There are people out here that love you, that want you in their lives, and just be somebody's ear.
Love it. Amen. And then hashtag be someone stranger. What we mean by that is we as humans are more apt to talk to a complete stranger about the things that are going on with us than the ones we love the most. Don't try to fix. Just be somebody stranger. Let them just listen to what they got to say. Could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. Just listen. And that's kind of like with equine therapy. When you go to an equine therapy, you're going to hear everybody's story, because when you get a bunch of veterans together, what happens? We start talking, and we know, because we know that the people that we are around, even though they're complete strangers, have gone through similar situations what we went through. So that's when we start gabbing. That's when the healing starts happening, whether it's around a campfire, whether it's around a herd of horses and donkeys. So hashtag be somebody's stranger. And then notice at the bottom of the screen, Heroes Media Group, Reach Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. We are proud partners with all of these great organizations out there. You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Reach Across America Radio on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. 11 p.m. Eastern. The link is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, www.reachacrossamerica.org/radio, or you can download the iTunes or the iHeartRadio Audacity app or TuneIn app, search the word Wreath, and you can find Reach Across America there. So make sure you check us out Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. Well, Gunny, my daughter is texting because she just got off of work. And my wife and my other daughter's not here right now. So you want to play Ask Monica real quick?
Yeah, let's do Ask Monica. And then we just got to remind everybody, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, not Eastern, Eastern. We have the Tip of the Spear podcast where, 10, 12, 15, it might even just be you and I, veteran podcasters, come together and just talk about current events and what's on our mind.
Definitely. So if you're a veteran out there and you haven't filed for your disability, or you have and you want a second opinion, or you just have questions, we have partnered with Monica Sanford from the Monica Sanford Show. She's a nurse practitioner down in Florida. She's been married to a lieutenant colonel, retired USMC for 35 plus years. She has partnered with us, and she is willing to answer your questions. She helps veterans get their ratings through the VA. You can email her at askmonica0@gmail.com. Let's play that video.
I need that as my alarm clock.
I know, right? I think
start the day off with that, all that upbeat music. I mean, that how can you start your day bad if that's your alarm clock?
Yeah, definitely. I'll send it to you, and you can set it as your alarm clock.
I'm good.
I'll send it to you. But it's that time of night, guys. Thank you for everybody who comes on here and watches our show every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesdays when we do our Tip of the Spear. You guys are the reason why we do this. You guys, as long as we reach one veteran today, then Gunny and I have done our mission. We completed our mission for the day. But just because we reached that one veteran don't mean we're not going to continue the mission. So thank you guys for 2 years, 150 episodes today. Thank you guys for that. Thank you for keep coming back and commenting, sharing, loving, all that good jazz. We love you guys. And like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six.
We got your six.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.